What's going on? What's going on? Happy Monday night. It is the next edition of Chips and Dish here on the All About the Birds Network. What is happening? Shout out to all the writers, Phil, Jeff, and Johnny, my partners in crime over here. We do things. We set the trends. And tonight there's so much going on in Philadelphia sports that I decided I had to bring in a big gun. I had to bring in a guy that I think is almost at my level of Philadelphia enthusiasm. I had to bring in JT from the cover band Split Decision. JT, thank you for joining me. We're celebrating Charles Barkley's belated birthday tonight. We're celebrating Dr. J's birthday. So thank you for joining me this fine evening. How you doing?
I'm good, my friend. It's good. My pleasure to be here. Seriously, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Well, so the people might not know you. I mean, I don't know if that's possible, but tell the people a little bit about yourself.
What do you mean you don't know if that's possible? It's very possible. I'm really nobody.
We run in very similar circles. That's the best part.
My name is JT. I'm the lead singer in a Philly cover band called Split Decision. Been in the band going on 5 years now. We play, well, when the world's open, we play pretty much all over the tri-state area, all the Atlantic City casinos, the beaches, the shores, private parties, everything, like full time pretty much. So.
Well, Adam would like to be the first one to greet you. Adam's one of our big followers. So Adam, what's going on, my friend? Kyle, what's up, my dude? So Jay, let's start with this. I threw you a softball question, which apparently turned out as I asked it of you. It's kind of like a ridiculously hard question to answer.
Okay.
What is your very favorite Philadelphia sports memory?
Okay, so I'm gonna say now, as of right now, 2021, it has to be when I watched the Eagles beat the Patriots in Super Bowl 52. But prior to that, it wasn't close. It was the Phillies 08 World Series. Just the feeling and be able to know that you're going to go to a parade and for your favorite team. I get it. Like I see what all the hype is with New England and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny. I almost threw in a little caveat saying, well, you know what? Let's remove the Super Bowl championship as an option because, like, for me, that's easy. And then the Phillies, same thing. Like, that's easy. So outside of championships, there you go. Now it's an impossible question. What is your favorite Philadelphia sports memory?
It's actually kind of easy. It's the new miracle at the Meadowlands. When Deshaun Jackson's punt return against the Giants. Michael Vick's incredible comeback from, I believe they were down 20 or 30 points or something. I don't know. It was significant amount of points that they were down. Yeah, and they came back and won that game with that run back where he actually bobbles the ball on the initial catch, and I'm like, oh, here we go, and he picks up and runs all the way back. But he still did this little thing where he hot dogged it along the goal line. I was like, get in the end zone.
Listen. That was the most frustrating I have ever been as an Eagles fan. Yes. Somebody, by the way, is messaging from the All About the Birds account. Yes, this is a Charlie Conway jersey, right? So I am not I'm not big enough on the Flyers yet. We're going to get into that later, but I have bought a lot of jerseys from a website called 99jersey.com. And they are actually partnered with us now. So if you wanted to buy this fancy Charlie Conway jersey, you can use the code AATBirds for a 20% discount at checkout. So you should definitely check them out because they got some really, really cool stuff. Oh, it was Jason Sullivan. What's up, Jay? Jim, it was like Emilio. It totally was. And by the way, I was waiting for the first opportunity to get a movie quote in there, because if there's somebody who can quote movies almost as good as me, it's the guy on the other side of the screen with me here. This is not a new thing for us quoting movies. So let's get into it. Let's get right into it. I don't know if you heard. Not sure if you were aware, but there is some. I'm not sure if there was some news that broke last week. The former starting quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, Carson Wentz, has been traded to the Indianapolis Colts. I'm going to stop there. Initial reactions, go ahead.
Well, as you know, I follow a lot of sports stuff. I listen to sports radio. I have updates on my phone, like literally my phone. If I get like an update, it goes it. So I knew what was going on. Basically, Philadelphia fans annoy me, and I love them at the same time. But like, it's just like the mixed reaction and everything like that. Let me start saying this. In my mind, I was like, well, it was a long time coming based on what had happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're literally being reported that their relationship, that Carson Wentz's relationship with the Eagles organization is fractured, irreparable. Like, they were actual words that were put into our ears. So what else are we supposed to think? Then, I believe a week later or something like that, Carson Wentz requests a trade. Like, we all, like, I don't know if you did, but I was just like, well, yeah. Like, it's just, I don't know. I've always been a Carson Wentz fan. I really have. Without his play, and I don't know why people think this, but without his play to bring the Eagles at 11-2 that year, and literally like just win games by himself, there's no way the Eagles even hold the Lombardi Trophy at the end of that season. It's not even
a chance.
And if you want to debate me on that, I think my Twitter's under me somewhere. Feel free. I will go.
Hold on, I got you. Wait. There it is. So JT's already putting it out there that if you think the Eagles could have won a Super Bowl starting 16 games with Nick Foles,
no way.
That's where you
saw him start the following season.
Which, by the way, the Eagles don't win a Super Bowl if Nick Foles starts 16 games. So I agree with you. I don't have to argue with you on Twitter.
Thank you, Nick. You did your job above and beyond when you were called upon. I mean, you really did. But there's no way on God's green earth Eagles go 11-2 at all that season with Nick Foles at the helm. And I love Nick Foles. Seriously, he'll never have to pay for a drink in this city ever again. No. But let's call a spade a spade. There's no way. Carson Wentz
was a backup. Right. And now the issue comes in, which is changing the philosophy of the Philadelphia Eagles, where the logic was the Philadelphia Eagles now need to always have a great backup, right? Which is why we're going to draft Jalen Hurts in the second round. Look, nobody.
I hated that.
I'm still angry about it, but at the same time,
I'm with you. I can feel your fire because I have to save you.
Right, because at the time, for them to draft a second-round quarterback, and I've said this 100 times, you needed to have the belief that a player drafted in the first or second round is going to contribute first round during their first season, second round by the end of the first season, early second season, they will be contributors. And you drafted a quarterback, right? So you knew Jalen Hurts was going to play.
After paying Carson Wentz and signing him, saying, you're our quarterback for the next 10, 11, 12 years. Well, here's your money. Here's our confidence. We kind of drafted a championship,
Right.
college quarterback. So just to let you know,
if you look at it,
are you kidding me?
If you look at it, of course.
Look,
no, you're good. You're supposed to be fiery. This is why when I offered this spot to you, I was like, "Do you want to come and yell at a camera for some time?" And you were like, "Yeah, let's do that." You want to yell at a camera about some sports?
So I was so frustrated. I know that every Eagles fan was frustrated when they took Jalen Reagor with the first pick. When
it was bad.
Justin Jefferson was right there. There's no excuses. You have nothing to say that this is why they didn't take them, other than they're stupid.
Is it that they're stupid, or do we have a bigger issue?
That they can't judge talent, and they're legendary failings of drafting.
So shout out to Jim over here. Last week we were doing a big debate, and I kept putting up pictures of Tyrone Hill because we were talking about just who would you take of an alien invasion, and I kept putting up Tyrone Hill because he wanted to return him to his leader. So here's the picture that I put up here, right? This is Jeffrey Lurie, and I want to say this was after they fired Doug.
It has to be.
But it was pretty clear. It was pretty clear what the fan base wants. Fire Howie, Howie's trash, fire Howie, fire the gremlin Howie, eye roll, Howie sucks. I mean, what it comes down to is the smartest man in the room mentality, right? Howie Roseman has got to be the smartest man in the room at all times. A2G saying the Jalen Hurts draft was by far the worst in the moment. And here's the thing. Nobody, and this was back to my original point, nobody could have predicted that the Philadelphia Eagles, that Carson Wentz would have had the catastrophic collapse that he did. Nobody could have predicted that. Now,
that's true.
Some people would say, well, he's still coming off a concussion, so he's hearing ghosts and things like that. You just get Nick Foles out of town.
Oh my God.
I'm still angry about it. If I never see Jadeveon Clowney in Philadelphia again, it would be too soon. However, now Jalen Hurts gets the chance to be the QB of the future. So a question that I wasn't prepared to ask.
Talking about replacing him.
Well, he's going to have to compete for it. And this is
so they will never just give okay, it's your job to lose. No, it's your job to win. To a young kid, after what you just did, you just got rid of your franchise quarterback. Let's say it right there. He was the franchise quarterback. He really was. He was actually the face of the Eagles, and they got rid of him. Now you got Jalen Hurts in there, who I'm not convinced at all. He started 4 games and had one good one. Am I wrong?
Right. No, you're absolutely right. He set big numbers against teams that already had written the Eagles off. Like the Saints overlooked us entirely. But besides that, I mean, he looked like an average rookie quarterback. He had some great numbers.
He had flashes.
However, he had flashes.
Most rookie quarterbacks do.
As soon as there's tape on them, things start to change. So Mike asks a good question here. He says, if Wentz continues to fail, but Hurts becomes a top 10 quarterback, do we change our view on Howie?
That's a really good question. And
I feel like we would have to.
I don't see it happening. If it does, because anything can happen. No one would have guessed that we'd be in a world pandemic in the year 2020. So if it continues to fail, I honestly don't think Carson Wentz is going to fail in Indianapolis. That team is way too stacked. He's got weapons. He's back with Frank Reich, like the guy who made him who he was that went 11-2. And he's got, I don't know, he's got a little bit of he's got familiarity with him, if I'm saying the word right, because I think I'm not. And he also has new energy.
Yep. He's excited. He's excited to be in Indianapolis.
For him. And he took off when he found out he was traded. He was
in Indianapolis before the ink was dry.
He was.
He had that message on Instagram saved, ready for it. Is it today? Is it? Okay, here we go. I got to see the timestamp of when that post was created. So, I mean, here's the big question then. Who won the trade? Because I have to say this, and I've said this before on these shows. I am a big fan of John Madden's football, right? I love me some Madden football. I'm still one of the only people that plays it.
John Madden.
So if you put this trade into a franchise trade machine on John Madden Football. The Philadelphia Eagles are not interested in this trade. They declined this trade.
Well, that game also has Kaepernick in it.
All right, well, whatever. But who won this trade?
I think the Colts. Because the Colts were that close this year. They got pretty far with Philip Rivers. They're pretty much going to have their entire team come back. And I don't know if you heard it first, but I'm pretty sure Zach Ertz is probably joining Indianapolis.
I did hear that.
So that's just handshake. I see that happening because he's going to want to go where, and the Colts actually have a legit shot, and he can be with his former quarterback. I mean, how are you not going to take that? If I'm Ertz, I do that. Unless the Buccaneers need him to replace Gronk, but I don't think it's going to happen. But
I do too.
Yeah, like honestly, I think Colts did because the Eagles. I really have zero, and I love the Eagles. I bleed green, but
Absolutely.
I have zero faith in the people calling the shots in that front office. And honestly, I kind of have zero faith in player development too.
That was going to be the next part. And so Johnny, one of the co-hosts here on the All About the Birds Network, he wanted to play a little devil's advocate. He said, okay, we know that the Doug Peterson staff got no production out of these rookies and these young players, with the exception of maybe Jordan Mailata, who under Jeff Stoutland turned into a very formidable left tackle in the NFL so far.
Yeah.
If this new staff with Sirianni can get production out of the does Howie get the reprieve?
So you're saying will the good outweigh the bad if things work out in the end?
Basically, I'm saying, is there a way for this fan base to re-embrace Howie with open arms? What is that game?
Yeah. That's like exactly. You got to win. If he wins the Super Bowl, of course he's redeemed. Why would you look back on how much things sucked if you get to the championship again? You can't. But right now, that's what we have to go on.
Because the owner of the team.
I hate saying we. I don't do we. I don't do that we and stuff.
I
I'm
know.
not on the roster. I can't control the score. So
we say we.
Yeah. Sure, that's fine. The thing is, the good will always outweigh the bad when it comes to being a Philadelphia sports fan. It's not
right.
It's not like why is everything bad? It's what have you done for me lately? And it's the way it is. Right. Like I said earlier in the green room, this has been it has to be a historical, legendary drop off from a championship winning football team to what they are now. Absolute dumpster fire. With no sign of redemption in sight.
And so, and I thought about that over these last couple minutes, and I went, okay, so we absolutely destroyed this organization for getting rid of Brian Dawkins, maybe a year too early. Still my favorite Eagle, hands down. We destroyed this organization for getting rid of players that we loved. Is this what it looks like when you hold on to players too long?
I don't know if you're holding on to players too long because who are you referring to? Who are we holding on to?
I'm so glad you asked. We're moving to the next point. We're cutting Deshaun Jackson. We're cutting Alshon Jeffrey. Malik Jackson, we hardly knew you.
So here's the thing.
Maybe
they were
cutting Kelsey.
They were on another team. So it's not like holding on to someone. It's bringing back players that aren't in their prime anymore and can't be productive. Yes. Deshaun Jackson, when he first was drafted, was an X factor. He was amazing. And then they got rid of him. He went to Chip literally got rid of him, got rid of McCoy while they were in their prime.
Not me. I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And that's I think what's so frustrating for me is that, we have this like folk love, not Foles, this folk love for certain players, right? Brian Dawkins, if he wanted to suit up today, I'd be like, pay him $10 million. Just let him go play. Let him go play. I know he can barely. He's a Hall of Fame.
Pro Bowl his first year in Denver.
Yeah, because he wasn't done.
So why'd they get rid of him?
I don't know. But here's the conversation, right? We're talking about these players. Carson Wentz, look, when the Jalen Hurts thing happened, when the benching happened, it became very clear that somebody had to go. I don't know if I realized that Doug and Carson had to go and Howie got to keep his job because Howie has been the consistent problem this whole time. But here we are, new coaching staff, new quarterback. We still don't know what's going to happen at the number 6 pick. And now we're starting to see the beginning of the blow up of the Philadelphia Eagles as we know and love. So much so that the owner of the team has said this is going to take a couple of years. What do we go on with that?
When Doug Peterson had told us at the Super Bowl parade, get used to this.
Yeah. The new normal.
And they wonder why the Eagles fans are ready to whoop their out.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Eli's dead on. The Jason Peters was way over. I mean, at this point, I'm sure they're trying to suit him up for backup kicker because that's like the only position he hasn't played. I can't believe that they thought that was a solution. I'm still angry that they put Mailata on the bench so that Peters can come back and just fall over.
Who got hurt in the beginning of the season? Jason Peters
Andre Dillard
had to come back. Andre Dillard, and there was a lot.
Well, Andre Dillard got hurt, and Brandon Brooks got hurt.
with Brandon Brooks for the entire season. So it was just a shitstorm from the get go.
Right. Okay.
So I saw today what they're going to cut. They're going to cut Jason Kelce now just to free up cap space.
They are going to either cut or trade Jason Kelce. We know that Ertz is probably on the way out. We know that. Yeah.
Here's the question: Do we think is Jason Kelce past his prime, or does he have a couple more good years in him?
So I have to say, I think he's definitely past his prime. But the question is he past NFL playing ability? Right?
He's still at a high level. He's in
that Jason Peters range where he should not be on a football field because he trips over the painted sideline? No. Jason Kelce was the only member of the team that played all of the games. You know, he literally had a problem with his elbow, and he had people taping up his elbow just so he could stay in the game. Jason Kelce is what this city loves. He stayed on the field because he had to.
Yeah.
With Kelce moving, with Ertz moving on, with Wentz moving on, what's Kelce got to stay for?
Honestly, nothing. Literally nothing. I mean, if he's at the end of his career, the last thing he wants to do is be on a team that had no shot of seeing the postseason for the next couple of years.
Right. Well, and that's why, I mean, on a different note, that's why all these people that say, oh, J.J. Watt's going to come to Philadelphia. J.J. Watt ain't coming to Philadelphia.
And he's going to go to Pittsburgh.
I said Pittsburgh. That's what I said. I said it's going to have a Watt party. They're going to have a Watt party.
Why wouldn't he do that? That would be incredible. Like, he's already done pretty much. I mean, the Steelers have a legitimate shot, but is Ben Roethlisberger coming back?
I believe so. Yeah, and you know, A2D's he's chiming in here.
His prime.
Maybe a Bills. Yeah, the only thing that J.J. Watt hasn't done is he hasn't won a Super Bowl. I mean, he's got to do that. But he's not, and I think Chris Long said it best. He's not going from one burning building franchise to another burning building franchise.
Exactly. There's no way.
And that's what the Eagles are.
A team with no promise.
Right. And the Eagles are a burning building franchise. I saw something where it like ranked all the NFL spots, and the Eagles were like 29th. Of like places you would want to. That was really well. The Jets were there. I mean, nobody wants to go to the Jets. The Texans. No one knows what's going on there.
As much as it sucks, the Eagles are the new Jets.
I saw you tweet that. Share those thoughts.
The Eagles are the new Jets.
You had those thoughts.
They're a laughing stock. Our beloved football team has become a laughing stock of the NFL. Remember a couple years ago when we thought Jets were a laughing stock?
You mean last year?
Eagles are a laughing stock of the NFL. Can you name? Can you name another team that's like that much of a joke besides the Texans? And even they'll probably be better next year.
The Texans will not be better next year because they're trading Deshaun Watson at some point. J.J. Watt's already gone. I mean, the Texans are definitely toward the bottom. But no, between the Eagles, the Jets, and the Texans, I mean, there's definitely your bottom teams.
Yeah.
They're your bottom teams.
Be a better team than the Eagles?
The Bengals, I am so sad that I didn't get to watch a full season of Joe Burrow because that kid just straight up plays he's got that like, I'm going to win this game mentality. And he was playing really well.
Yeah.
before he shredded his name.
The Eagles they have no weapons now. That was another thing with Carson Wentz. They gave him mediocre weapons. What was it last year? He took the team to the playoffs with not one wide receiver out over 500 yards.
Well, he's done that. There's been no 1,000-yard receivers. I mean, look at the number one paid receiver on this Philadelphia Eagles team last year, right? Alshon Jeffrey. I want to share some numbers with you because I love me some stats, okay? Here are some stats for you. Alshon Jeffrey, over 4 seasons, made $47.15 million off of the Philadelphia Eagles. He never had a 1,000-yard season.
Okay.
He never had double-digit touchdowns in a season, and he averaged 48.6 receiving yards per game. $47.15 million.
And he was part of the Super Bowl winning squad.
And there it is. And if you look at these names with the exclusion of Malik Jackson, right? Deshaun, Alshon, Kelsey, and Ertz. I mean, Kelsey, here's the thing. If Kelsey decides to retire, okay, I understand. If they decide to cut or trade him, I am fuming and I am storming the gates of the link. Right? Okay. That needs to be Kelsey's decision, not the other way around. Ertz had a pretty historic drop-off as well, considering he said, I need to be paid, I need to be paid, I need to be paid, and then didn't do a single thing to get himself paid.
No, and Dallas Goedert didn't help him. Didn't help
Dallas. And that's the thing. When you're talking about tight ends, why not draft Pitts at number 6? Yeah, Eli, I'm all about the stats here on Chips and Dish. He literally robbed Philadelphia. Yeah, sure did. But would you? I mean, Deshaun Jackson played in, I think, 4 games total. Alshon, we just went over the numbers. They're horrific. Malik Jackson couldn't get on the field. I mean, these are players that need to go. These are players that need to go.
Agree.
Kelsey doesn't. And segueing into this, right? So the next set of questions is, what moves still need to be made? And how long is it going to take to rebuild? So not knowing anything about Sirianni and how he's doing stuff, what moves need to be made? And how long do you think it's going to take for the Eagles to be in contention again?
Well, so what they're showing us right now, what we have to work with, like looking at the roster and looking at what we can expect next season, knowing what we know. Honestly, I think it's probably about 5 years before they even get back to the playoffs.
Now, does that change if –
and I wonder
right, does that change if Hurts plays out of his mind?
Yeah. I mean, if they let's say if they start the season 4-1, then that could change. But I don't see it happening.
Well, and the only redeeming factor, and we said this before, is that they still play in the NFC East. So if they can scrape out 6 wins, they're in contention for the division.
That's true. And it's sad, though. I hate that.
I don't want to win the division with 6 wins.
I hate that. Like, I really, even at the end of the year of this direct season that we were put through, they still had a legit chance to get to the postseason. I would have been embarrassed if the Eagles went to the postseason with a record like that. They need to change those rules because a team with a losing record should not get into the postseason.
No, the guaranteed,
especially when there's other teams in other divisions that absolutely deserve it.
Right, and it's usually from the AFC where you see teams just having these insane records and they need 14 different things to happen, and meanwhile the Eagles are over here like, I scored, I'm in the end zone, exactly. I'm in the playoffs.
Yeah. Yep, it's like little Giants. They gained a yard.
One time. So Adam's saying, 2 years for a rebuild. A2D saying 2 to 3 years. I mean, it really depends on what this roster is built like and what the coaching staff puts in place. Now, I think removing the Carson Wentz, and what's going to be exciting is that we can stop having this conversation about that guy. We can just watch him from afar. We don't have to mention Carson Wentz on this network anymore, except for the fact that he definitely is getting paid way too much to not be on the Philadelphia Eagles this year. The $30+ million is absurd, and the Eagles lost the trade. Unless it turns into a high first-round pick. Like he plays 70% of the snaps, on a Colts team that loses like every game, and we end up getting like a second round, the number 2 pick.
It becomes a first round.
Right. Vicky's joining us. Yes, we're still talking about the Eagles and the dark season that we just sat through and the dark season ahead. So let's look at some names, right? These names, and again, I forget where I found this from, but this is just, something I found on the Twitter. So these are the names of the players from the Eagles roster who are unrestricted free agents at the top, restricted free agents, and IRFA is, I had to look this up, exclusive rights free agents. So basically the Eagles have to offer them a contract. So judging off this list, and again, Corey Clement, Vinny Curry, Jonathan Ford, Nate Geary, Crevon LeBlanc, Jalen Mills, Josh Perkins, Jason Peters, Son Ridgeway, Duke Riley. I'm not even going to say that guy's name because he shouldn't have been on the Eagles to begin with. And long-throwing Nate Sudfeld. Out of just the unrestricted free agents, who do you want to see back on the Eagles this season?
None. I don't want to see any of
them. No. Just pick one. Just pick one. Just do it for fun.
If I had to,
because you still need to dress 53 players.
If I had to, maybe Crevon LeBlanc because he has like flashes of like decent coverage ability, but that's it. Corey Clement can't stay healthy. Vinny Curry, can't shed blocks, and
I like Vinny Curry as
I do.
I like
too,
Vinny
but
Curry.
Like there's other options out there, younger and better.
Right. He's a good pass rusher, but he's only on the field, during those third down plays. Javier would like to keep Sudfeld, and I know he's being very serious about this. That's not why he put LMAO after it. He wants to keep Sudfeld, actually, so that Sudfeld can compete for the starting job. So, Javier, I'll reach out to Doug and Howie, make sure that happens for you.
Yeah.
JT, you don't want to see Jason Peters back?
No, I don't want to see Jason Peters in the NFL. That dude needs to call it a career. He's a Hall of Famer easily, but
he's got to start. He's got to sit on the sideline. He's got to sit on the sideline for 5 years, not a part of a team to begin at the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he needs to stop. He's only gonna hurt.
Yeah,
legit. Like he's not gonna be able to like get out of a chair.
Well, it's a rocking chair.
Oh, whatever. Whatever.
I mean, looking at this list, Corey Clement.
Like I said, just better options out there if you want to move forward.
Right. So I'm looking at this list, and just in the unrestricted free agent section, I think that LeBlanc is worth the bring back. I also think you need to move Slay and just get stuff for him at this point, since we're not going to be competing. Let him go prime somewhere else. And I love Darius Slay, but it's not fair to him. Perkins, I think, is good. Jalen Mills, I know Johnny, if he's still watching, Jalen Mills is somebody that he loves. I think he's a good transitional secondary member. I just don't think that he is long-term fixing. But the unrestricted free agents, they can.
He got burned too many times this season, and honestly, last season too.
Right.
And this season he didn't have Malcolm Jenkins helping him over the middle, so he was really exposed.
That was the start for me. Not bringing back Malcolm Jenkins, I felt almost as bad as I did when they didn't bring back Brian Dawkins. They needed Malcolm Jenkins.
That's what I'm saying. It felt Dawkins-esque.
Yep. The restricted free agents, I want to keep all three of them. Cameron Johnston was one of the best punters in football statistically.
Okay.
Statistically, one of the best punters in football. And I got into an argument with somebody on Twitter about this. If you look at his net average and his returning, people don't return a lot of punts on him. His punting statistically is some of the best in football. And he was consistent. So Boston Scott, you can keep as a return man, maybe. Richard Rodgers, with Ertz moving on, you do need a tight end too. And Sirianni comes from the Colts, who run a lot of
serviceable.
The IRFAs, the exclusive rights free agents.
Give him a contract.
Pay Singleton. Pay him now.
Pay Singleton.
Pay him
Start the hashtag now.
Start the hashtag now. And you look
Phillies
at the guy.
Like, JT. Now it's time to sign AS.
Yeah, you want to sign AS?
AS.
Sorry, you forgot the second
Definitely
S.
back Singleton. That guy.
Yeah.
And
he's a good dude, right? You look at all the stuff he does with the Special Olympics. He's a good dude. So he's the kind of locker room influence I want there. He plays hard. He needs some coaching. He needs to be coached up, but let him play.
He does.
And it's Mike. It's like you were right there with me, right? He had over 100 tackles, and he didn't start the whole season. Like he started toward the end.
I agree with pass coverage. I agree with he doesn't need to improve his pass coverage, but honestly, I think that's fixable. And
I agree.
He's the kind of guy that is like he's got the heart you want in Philadelphia Eagle. So that's
right.
Just
you have to coach him up. You have to coach him up.
The Eagles were literally out of games, and he was just running full force. You know what I mean? Like he was doing what he needed to do. His heart.
And speaking of heart, I almost don't want to put this comment up there. Your thoughts on JJ Arcega-Whiteside?
I don't think he should be an NFL player.
But we drafted him before DK Metcalf.
Horrible. Yeah, I know. Because the Eagles can't draft. They can't draft at all. It's a joke. That's why I don't even watching the actual draft because I get so upset when it's like, oh, the Eagles are on the clock and it says the pick is in, and I'm like, I'm already going to hate it.
That was one, and that's going to go now. Okay, if Sirianni and his group, everything we've heard about them is that they develop players and they're good teachers. So if they turn JJ Arcega-Whiteside into a serviceable player, we can shut up. We'll just say that it was Peterson's fault. This one might be beyond fixing.
He's horrible.
This one might be beyond.
He can't even see the field.
The umbrella killed me. It killed me. Yeah, if he's a tight end conversion, okay, I could see that. Special teams project. He could pick up a fumble and run it in for a touchdown. But besides that, I mean, the JJ Arcega-Whiteside train needs to be cleared out.
The field, he can't see the field.
All right, we're going to shift sports here. One of the reasons why I brought you on tonight is I know of your love for the Philadelphia Flyers, right? So
I love the Flyers.
Last night, the Philadelphia Flyers played the Boston Bruins at Lake Tahoe in the outdoor series, and they got their asses positively smacked. And I know that because I watched a game. Right? And I've said multiple times on the show, I'm like, look, out of all the Philly four, like I support the Flyers, but I haven't watched a lot of their stuff in the last 7-8 years. So I watched the game last night and I live tweeted my thoughts. And here were my big thoughts. And then Jay, I'm going to basically let you school the teacher in what I need to know about this Flyers team.
Okay.
So here's what I learned real good about the Flyers last night. Number one, they were missing key players. Absolutely key players. Which
6 of them.
Yes, and Adam, we've had this conversation as well. When I watch the Flyers, they lose. So that might be the only Flyers game I watch this season. We'll see. They were definitely missing key players, like the players that you buy the jerseys off of. Point 2. The Boston Bruins are a really good hockey team. Like noticeably better than the team that the Flyers were last night. Now, I don't know how that translates to when they have those 6 players back, but it was noticeable last night. Carter Hart's a good goalie. He had an off night. And the thing that I kept tweeting about, why do the Flyers not shoot the puck? They had 11 shots in the first period. They finished the game with 19 shots on goal. Why don't they shoot the puck? They take it in way too far until there's literally no geometric angle they could possibly put a shot on goal. I'm going to listen at this point. I'm actually going to actively take notes. Tell me what I need to know about the Flyers and why last night should not be the barometer of what I learned.
Okay. So last year, before the pandemic hit, the Flyers were one of the best teams in the NHL. They were outscoring teams. They were coming back from deficits that they shouldn't have won. Like they were unstoppable, like incredible. And pandemic hit, and then everything was paused, and then they had they had to go for the playoffs or whatever. Like all the teams were kind of like caught off guard. If the pandemic never hit the Flyers, probably would have contended for the Stanley Cup. But as I used to kind of like shut it down, like when the playoffs hit again, but still, whatever. Last night they literally have 6 other players that actually shoot the puck on the COVID list. So the thing about the Flyers is I think they're right now the second best team in the city. They got the Sixers, who actually look really, really good. But let's see what happens. I'm not going to say anything to jinx it. The Flyers are hands down the second best team in the city because you said you didn't watch the Flyers games last year because last year they were fun to watch.
I didn't. So
they were unstoppable. They were so great. It was amazing to watch Flyers hockey last
well, and
year,
that's the thing. So I keep saying, like, I remember, like, the last time I religiously watched hockey, we're talking Lindros and LeClaire. Like, and besides that, they went on strike. I stopped watching. They came back. I didn't realize it. They went on strike again. I stopped watching. So it's that sport which didn't have the continuity for me. So now I run a sports podcast. I kind of need to watch the Flyers again. So I sat there and I watched the game, and I got into it. I'm like yelling at the TV. I'm like screaming. I watched a bad game. You got to get into
another game when play come back. Because the Boston Bruins had everyone. I think the Boston Bruins were missing like one of the key defenders or something like that. I could be wrong. I didn't watch a game. I had a show. So
right.
But I think Boston Bruins were only down one game in. The Flyers were down 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Carter Hart, I mean, you got the Boston Bruins coming at you. The Boston Bruins are usually a really good squad. Here's the thing. Last year, the Flyers are better than the Boston Bruins.
Okay.
Yeah, the Boston Bruins are always a service. They're always a really good team. They always.
So what happened in the bubble then? Because I know that they were the Flyers were the number 1 seed, and then
I don't know. The Islanders beat them.
All right, and hockey. I do feel that hockey is that sport where an 8 can beat a 1 pretty evenly. Like the teams are pretty matched up in hockey, and it's long series, and it's aches and pains. I do get that. I'm just watching this hockey team, and I know they were in 3rd place going into the game last night, but all those points were like neck and neck. Are they a competitor this year?
Hard. Yes, they.
I know that
they will be. Okay. If they can stay off that list and you know what I mean, like stay healthy and keep their players on the ice, they're a young, fast, scoring team, and Carter Hart is only going to get better. And he's
sure.
I'm not really familiar with like a bunch of the goalies in the NHL, but I like the Flyers. So I think that Carter Hart's mentioned on like national broadcasts and stuff like that. I think he's a top 10, possible top 5 goalie in the NHL. Otherwise, I can't even pronounce their names. But Carter Hart is up and coming. Like he's gonna be something. He's great, dude.
And okay, so
that's true. And add his Drew thing. Drew never ever shows up in the playoffs. Like other guys, other Flyers always step up in the playoffs. Claude Giroux, as much as I love Giroux, I love G, seriously, but he never shows up in the playoffs ever.
So he's my Aaron Rodgers.
Amazing regular season. He'll set records and whatever. He'll be like, oh, winning the scoring, whatever, like set Flyers records, but he doesn't show up in the playoffs. And that's the thing.
So he's
captain. Really,
he's Aaron Rodgers.
In the playoffs.
He's Aaron Rodgers, and I can dig that. I mean, like I said, I'm watching this game, and I did get into it. I was super excited. Again, I know football. It is where I live and breathe. So the fact that I can talk eloquently about a little bit of Flyers. So I know they play, again, Thursday night, and I think that the cutoff is they need to get the players off the COVID list by tomorrow to get them to practice Wednesday and play on Thursday. So I think that's kind of what we're watching there for.
Yeah. Hopefully things progress because they're a team.
Well, good. I mean, I'm glad I get to watch that. I'm also glad that I get to watch JT Realmuto for the next couple seasons. See, that's a nice transition there. He's the one-handed catcher. You got to read what I write up here. It's the guiding light. He's got a broken thumb on his throwing hand. So, being that he's a Philadelphia player, I'm sure that's going to require him to sit out. He's going to miss the season, right? No.
They think he'll be ready for the opener, yeah.
He's back there. He's actively catching, and then he just kind of flips it to the coach over there. He's taking batting practice one-handed. JT Realmuto is tough. He is gritty. See, there's the Flyers transition back. See, it's all like the transitions there, right?
I like it.
He is gritty. He is what every Philadelphia fan loves. He is who brings out the best in Bryce Harper. He is the best catcher in baseball. Can the Phillies compete this season? What moves still need to be made, specifically pitchers, because our pitching staff is still the weak link on this team?
I mean, like I've heard like Jason Stark and everyone talk about that. Given like the state of the Major League Baseball and everything, and what he sees in the Phillies, and what other people see in the Phillies, there's an actual chance that they could contend for the postseason. I don't think it's going to happen, but there is a legit belief in national media that the Phillies could actually contend for the playoff, or their division. I don't know, whatever it is, but that Braves are scary good.
And that's the thing. So I look at this potential lineup, right? And I found this a couple weeks ago. So here is the potential starting lineup for the Philadelphia Phillies. And this is just the lineup, right? McCutchen playing left field, batting leadoff. Hoskins playing first. Harper in right field, Real Muto at center. Alec Bohm playing third base. Didi Gregorius. Gene Segura. And then Scott Kingery in center field. So the lineup definitely tapers off towards the end. It tapers off towards the end.
Or Gene Segura can come through with some clutch hits.
Gene Segura is a better second baseman than he is a shortstop. And that's what my big concern was before they signed Didi.
True.
Was that we'd have to see Gene Segura playing shortstop.
Gene Segura's his bat is what helps the team.
So what's this pitching staff? What does this pitching staff have to do to make the playoffs?
Last year was
the bullpen, we know it's bad.
It's good. I haven't really been like up and up with the Phillies right now. Ever since I know that they signed JT Realmuto and his thumb is broken, and he's doing that. But he's like, this is what you paid me for. I'm not going down because of this. So it's fine. I get that. But that bullpen last year gave away games. Like
it's basically the same lineup
in the seventh and eighth inning, and the bullpen gave the game away. So their offense wasn't bad. Their defense, that bullpen was Philadelphia Eagles level.
Right. And I know they got better. Archie Bradley is going to be my new favorite Philly. I already know that. Coming down to the bullpen. Adam puts the Braves always choke in the playoffs. They'll blow it in the playoffs. They will. They'll blow it in the playoffs.
Playoffs.
Major League, man. I had to quote that right there. Mike is saying that the NL East got tougher, but the Phil's pitching staff is still, and that's true. I wanted Taijuan Walker so badly, right? Taijuan Walker went to the Mets. So the Mets pitching staff got better.
Yeah, he's right. The NL East got tougher, and the Phillies. Yep.
And if you think about it, like the Phillies are rolling out basically the same lineup that they rolled out last year. So we know the runs are going to be there. Did the bullpen get better? That's the question.
Who did they add?
Archie Bradley.
They add someone that Ricky Metallica can't stand?
What did you say? Somebody that Ricky Metallica what?
Didn't they add someone that Ricky Metallico can't stand? So those post-game press conferences are going to be fun.
Oh. Ricky Metallico kills me because
he's no filter. No filter.
I love it because he had legitimately hated the Phillies last year. He spoke from us. Adam saying that he's glad that Arrieta left. Yeah. Good riddance, Jake Arrieta. Go back to I think he went back to the Cubs. He's the Alshon Jeffrey of this team.
Arrieta was. Borderline not I'm trying to think like who stole money from the city. Who stole money from the city more than Andrew Bynum?
Alshon. I mean, we got a Super Bowl out of it, but yeah, Andrew Bynum was pretty bad. Yeah. Carson Wentz is going to be stealing money from us.
Yeah, but I mean, well,
I'm glad the Arrieta left. I hope that Aaron Nola has the season that we need him to have.
He's got to be an ace. He's got to be an ace.
He has to be the number one because between him and Wheeler, we have a really solid 1 and 2. Depending on what Spencer Howard does, we have a solid 4.
Yeah,
but Vince Velasquez sucks.
I hate saying his name. Double V. I hate that and in the Phillies in the lineup. I mean, he could maybe come out of the bullpen, and I don't even want to see him do that. But he cannot be a starter. He can win games too.
He did. You were lucky if you got 3-4 innings out of him. Yeah,
in the games when he pitched.
Yeah, you were lucky if you got 3 or 4 innings out of him before he absolutely imploded.
Exactly. And then they were going to that crappy bullpen way too early, so there was no chance to win that game, any of those games.
Right. Well, so speaking of chance, let's transition. We have a couple minutes left. Let's end it on a happier note, right? Let's talk about the best team in the city right now. The Philadelphia 76ers are without question the best team in Philadelphia right now. They are clear. I don't have the piano over here. I wish I did. But the Sixers are clear contenders for the NFC. See, I'm back in football. For the Eastern Conference title. Clear contenders because Joel Embiid is a once-in-a-generation talent, in my opinion. Right? To be that big and that nimble and to score the way he does. You know, he finally put up his first 50-point game last week. But is he the NBA MVP this year, in your opinion?
I love Joel Embiid. And I think he's probably the best player in Philly sports right now. Like, I think that's safe to say. Probably the best player in Philly sports. I think he's the MVP. There's too many other candidates, and what Steph Curry is doing in Golden State right now is just unreal. Like, I mean, I'm not saying Curry, he's the MVP, but like
I was about to say, you have Curry above LeBron and Joel Embiid.
Yeah, LeBron's close again, and it's just
LeBron just always is in the conversation.
If Joel has a chance to win, this would be the season to win, but he's got to stay on the court.
That's my big thing.
Like that. That's it.
If they can, right. So you're answering my question. If they continue to load management him the way they have been, should he be the MVP?
Honestly, no.
Because he's dominant. He's dominant when he's on the.
Yeah, he is, but he's not. He's missing too many games, and he's like late decision kind of stuff. Oh, no one knew Joel wasn't going to play tonight, but he has got back tightness.
That bugged me. That bugged the hell out of me.
It's not really MVP caliber, and isn't he like he's young? He's like 20. He is 21 years old or something.
I mean, when I look at Joel Embiid, I look at the polar worst of his position, which is Greg Oden. We have already gotten more out of Joel Embiid. That's right. We went there because Greg Oden was supposed to be this insanely dominant player, and he couldn't
He was
walk.
Supposed to be a force.
So we've already gotten more out of Joel Embiid.
Right? Yeah.
I don't even think he survived. I think he played one really decent, respectable season, and then his legs just imploded on him. So, we talk about load management a lot. Yeah. And I kind of know the answer to this question, but I have to ask it anyway. Would you rather we kind of, put the foot on the gas to have him win the MVP this year? Or do you kind of want to continue at the rate that they're going, where they then have to meet a team like the Nets in the Eastern Conference Finals and then the Lakers or the Clippers in the NBA Finals?
So, I mean, I think
is this our window? Is this our window
for MVP?
What's that?
Do you think Kevin Durant is a legit candidate for MVP this year?
Nope, I do not. And the fact that he's the all-star captain really bugs me. It shows that people are just voting because of the name. Like the fact that Klay Thompson, who will not play a game this season, finished where he did in the voting is absurd.
He's actually in the voting?
Oh, yeah. At one point, he was like number 8 or 9.
Oh, wow. That's just...
So the fan votes is the problem. I don't think Kevin Durant is an MVP because he's got a Kyrie Irving, because he's got James Harden. He's got two of the arguably best. They're a big three. They are a big three.
Yeah.
I don't think you can say the same about Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons. right? They're nice complementary pieces.
Yeah.
But they're not of the same caliber.
No, they're not. Ben Simmons can't shoot. I mean, how do you play basketball and not be able to shoot the basketball? I don't get it. I mean, whatever. He's got skills.
How do you play hockey and not shoot the puck? Because I watched the Flyers do it.
That wasn't a play. Oh. You picked a bad game. I'm gonna or send you a message, but when everyone's back, and be like, watch the Flyers game tonight.
Watch this game.
Yeah. All right. Let's move away from the fact that you watched a
hockey game.
Flyers a depleted Flyers thing.
I think that it really ties into with
true.
Joel Embiid.
That's true.
Right?
That statement right there.
Right. What Don said here, right? When he plays every game in the playoffs with days off in between, no one can guard that man. Nobody in the Eastern Conference can guard him, right? The Nets are talking about bringing in Andre Drummond just to kind of complete whatever their starting five is, but the Nets have no bench depth. The Raptors.
I never saw the Nets, but I think you're right.
Yeah, the Nets have three incredible starters. Joe Harris makes a fourth great starter, but besides that, I mean, they don't have any bench depth. When they lost Spencer Dinwiddie, that team became very beatable. The Raptors, however, showed that with great coaching and a great execution of a game plan, they didn't have Kyle Lowry last night, and they held the Sixers in the fourth quarter with all of their starters over 7 minutes without a basket.
So that says a lot.
There's a blueprint to how to beat the Sixers, and the Raptors executed that blueprint perfectly. But can they stop Joel Embiid for a 7-game series? Oof. Fun fact, Portland drafted Sam Bowie over Michael Jordan. We know that. And Greg Oden over Kevin Durant. Well, Portland is the Howie Roseman of basketball drafting. But is Joel Embiid the MVP? I say no until he plays a little more consistently.
I agree.
Tobias Harris. Yeah. Are Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons All-Stars? The All-Star reserves are coming out tomorrow. Should Ben Simmons be an All-Star? Should Tobias Harris be an All-Star?
I think Ben Simmons. I don't know if Ben Simmons should be an All-Star, but he very well could be. Like, I wouldn't be like completely shocked by it, but I don't think Tobias Harris should be an All-Star.
I think the opposite. I think Tobias Harris should go
to the All-Star.
I think Tobias Harris should be an All-Star. He's having a career year as that third piece, right? An absolute career year. And he's been on the court and he's not taking days off. Like, he's there and he's putting up numbers. Ben Simmons, the only reason why he would deserve to go is because he is a defensive stud.
Yeah.
Right? He is far in the running and running away with Defensive Player of the Year. So if you value defense, then yes, Ben Simmons should be an All-Star.
Does his defense make up for his lack of shooting?
It does, because it's just doing it's when you look at a team like the Sixers, you know Joel Embiid is the focal point of your team. You know Curry and Danny Green are your shooters. You know that Dwight Howard is your veteran leadership off the bench. Everybody has their roles. Ben Simmons' role is to be a shutdown defender, and he can defend all 5 spots on the court. If he does his job, the Sixers can win games.
And what's Ben Simmons' role when Joel Embiid's not available to play?
He should be averaging a triple-double every night, and he should be putting up numbers like he did where he's scoring 40-some points a game.
Exactly, but he's not consistent in that way. So that's why they have. I mean, how do you feel watching the Sixers game when you know that Joel Embiid's not going to be playing that night?
I feel a little bit let down. I feel kind of like, when the Flyers are missing 6 key players, I feel a little bit let down. And then I'm not going to watch as good of a product. Got you again.
Oh my God. I can't believe
I watched one game.
You watch.
I know. And it was funny. One of somebody that I knew for like 20 some years, I posted on my Facebook. I'm like, hey, I'm watching a game. I'm live tweeting my thoughts. And he commented, I've known him for like 20 years. He's like, your tweets are bullshit. Don't talk shit on the Flyers. I'm like, I'm just saying what I noticed. I'm sorry. Like, you know me. Dude, that's not what I do.
Flyers,
and you know him too.
Second best team in the city. Hands down, second best team in the city.
Well, and that's kind of my point with the All-Star stuff. So the Sixers have the best record in the East. Why do they only have one All-Star? And they have the coach. Why do they only have one All-Star?
I think the All-Star thing is just...
Should there be an All-Star game this year?
Well, according to LeBron James, no. But I don't know. Whatever. The league is missing out on a lot of revenue. So they need to have something to compensate that. There's no fans. They're not selling, you know what I mean, concessions or tickets or anything like that. Like, so you got to make up for it somewhere. So they're adding for things.
Right. So there are some rumors that Kyle Lowry. Yeah. So there's some rumors that Kyle Lowry is going to be traded to the Sixers. There's also some rumors that Zach LaVine is going to be traded to the Sixers. So you get one. You get either Zach LaVine or Kyle Lowry. Who do you want as a Sixer for our playoff push?
Well, Kyle Lowry, but that's going to cost you a lot.
You don't think Zach LaVine would cost you?
Kyle Lowry would probably cost you more.
Right.
But you'd have to give up some stuff, like for either one of them. Like they're probably going to want whoever would probably want what's his name? Maxey.
Well, Maxey needs to be off limits.
I mean, you might want Thibault, who's been playing pretty decent the last couple games.
Another defensive stud.
Would you have to give up Tobias?
No, and you wouldn't. So you're not.
He's
so
locked in, right?
Yeah, Tobias, Ben, and Joel are untouchable. So you're looking for. So the question comes in: do you value a point guard more in Lowry, or do you value a shooting guard, the number 2 guard, more in Zach LaVine and the playmaking ability? I think Zach LaVine fits this team better in their style of play.
Yeah, Kyle Lowry would be a commitment because he's going to want multiple years for a nice amount of money. And that you'd be locked in. Like you're looking at another I forget his name, number 42 last year.
Wait, who'd you say?
Horford. You're looking at another Horford situation if like money wise for like a Lowry kind of thing. And it doesn't pan out, you're looking at another Horford situation.
Yeah, that's going to be a no thank you. I'm so glad that he's no longer on this team. So listen, that's the show, man. That was a solid hour of excellence right there. So before we wrap up, I want to thank JT for joining us tonight. I kind of sprung it on him this morning. I was like, you know what? There's a lot going on. I'm gonna bring in JT and let him yell at a computer screen for an hour or so. JT, do you have any final thoughts about anything we brought up tonight? Any thoughts in general?
I just want. Well, first of all, I want to see the finish line of the whole pandemic and everything like that. I want to get back to going to sporting events because I feel like that was I mean, as much as people don't want to say it was a thing, but like it like really impacted like players, like playing the game and everything like that. Like who's to say that the season wouldn't have been a different if the Eagles had fans in the stands all season long? No one knows.
Right.
But I don't know. The Eagles need to do something. They need to show their fan base that this is a team moving forward. This is a team moving up. Sixers solid, Flyers solid. Stop going back to that game last night. I begged him to watch.
One game.
I'll let you know when it's a good game to watch. And hope the Phillies, give us something to cheer about in the summer.
I dig it.
That's pretty much it. Like as a Philadelphia sports fan right now, you got the Sixers and you got the Flyers, but the other two, I'm a 4-for-4 guy, and I want 4-for-4. But my favorite team out of them all is the Eagles, and right now I cry tears of green. So hopefully,
and there have been a lot
to expect with the Sirianni coaching. You know what? It's all TBD. That's it. I can't judge. I can't say anything. We'll see on.
Yeah, we know nothing.
Then I'll be able to. Yes, then I'll be able to say okay, it's good, or it's promising, or this is horrible, and I'm going to drink a lot.
Cheers to that.
There you go.
So I want to, like I said, I want to thank JT for joining us tonight. I want to thank all of our awesome sponsors that we have. Again, 99 Jerseys, where I got this Mighty Ducks, Jimmy John. Partner with All About the Birds. You can use the code AATBirds for a 20% discount. They have football, basketball, baseball, all kinds of good stuff you can get on there. We're also sponsored by Hemp Bombs. We're sponsored by live beard. So you can check out some of those great sponsors. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight, all the great comments that came rolling in. Don't forget, we are right back here tomorrow night for Fairway to Heaven, our fantasy golf show with Phil. Money to be made, ladies and gentlemen. Wednesday night, the four hosts, myself, Johnny, Phil, and Jeff will be right back here to talk about all things Philadelphia Eagle related. Saturday night is the draft show. So Johnny will take over some draft talk. And as always, any kind of big breaking news all about the birds is where you need to go. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, the YouTube page where this has been streaming. And as we always wrap up with the corniest of corny sign-off lines, just don't forget to JT's like, what the hell is he about to say? What's he going to say? Just keep chipping away at life and go birds.